Hello, Canada. This is Jean Yoon, winner of Because News. Congratulations to my runners-up, Chris Sandiford and Ashley Botting. Because News is written and produced by Shannon Higgins, David Carroll, Gavin Crawford, Phil Lung, and Jess Klimowski. This week, they had help from Alice Moran and Alexandra Vite. Rounding out the team, Aaron Conway, Bronwyn Page, Chris Lyons, and our recording engineer, Paul Hodge.
This is CBC Radio 1, 990 AM, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg.
Hi, I'm Saroja Coelho, host of the Saturday afternoon call-in show, Just Asking.
And I'm Ian Hannamansing, host of the Sunday afternoon call-in show, Cross Country Checkup.
Whether it's world events
or what's happening in your backyard,
every weekend we connect Canada live.
That's Just Asking with Saroja Coelho, Saturday afternoons at 4 Eastern.
And Cross Country Checkup with Ian Hannamansing, Sunday afternoons at 4 Eastern on CBC Radio 1.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the CBC Listen app for free.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Rosanna Hempel. At 12 o'clock, it's 13 in Winnipeg. Mostly sunny today, a high of 20. MPI wants drivers to pay more for auto insurance, but a watchdog is questioning why that proposed rate hike is so low. The CBC's Ian Fraze explains.
Manitoba Public Insurance wants a 3% rate hike for next year. While the corporation is making its case to an independent board, the Consumers Association of Manitoba, which represents ratepayers, is raising questions. Not that the rate is too high, but rather it might be too low. MPI's own actuaries think a 6% rate hike, not 3%, is needed to recover costs. The Crown Corporation lost $130 million last year, in part because of a hailstorm that led to 15,000 claims. The consumers group says it's concerned about affordability, but not at the risk of the public being hit with much higher rate increases in the future. The Public Utilities Board will have the final say on rate changes. The hearing starts today and is expected to last 3 weeks. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 13-year-old boy from Nissachawayasik Cree Nation suffered life-threatening injuries after he was shot through the walls of his house. Nelson House RCMP say someone shot at a house on Linklater Road before 2:30 Saturday morning. They say the bullets passed through the wall of the living room and into the victim's bedroom. He was in bed when he was struck by the bullets. 5 other people, including 3 other youth, were in the house at the time. No one else was hurt. The teen was taken to Winnipeg, where he was treated and now is in stable condition. RCMP believed the home had been targeted. A 36-year-old man has been charged with several counts of assaulting police after threatening officers with a knife. Police were called to a home in the 1100 block of Alfred Street around 9:20 yesterday morning. It was about a report of a man who broke into a house, causing substantial damage. When police confronted him, he told them he had a knife and threatened to kill them. Police say when he didn't drop his knife after being told to, officers used a taser and arrested the man. He wasn't seriously hurt. Investigators found the same man had broken into the same house the day before after a domestic incident. He now faces numerous 250 modular homes on the Jasper town site. The province is also paying for up to 25 modular units to be set up in a nearby town. They will house residents of a senior's home, which was destroyed by the wildfire. A federal cabinet minister is jumping into Quebec's municipal politics. Marie-Claude Bibeau has announced she'll run to become mayor of Sherbrooke in the next election. Bibeau is currently the MP for Compton-Stanstead and federal national revenue minister. Last week, she and 3 other ministers informed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau they would not run again in the next federal election. Well, New Brunswickers head to the polls today. The main parties in contention are the Liberals and the Progressive Conservatives. The PCs are in search of a third consecutive term. No premier in the province has been able to do that in nearly 30 years. Jacques Poitras reports.
Everywhere you look, there are positive signs that
PC leader Blaine Higgs has been arguing the province is on the right track. If he wins, he'll be the first premier since Frank McKenna to get a third term in office. He made only one major promise in the campaign, a 2-point cut to the HST. Liberal leader Susan Holl built her campaign around improving health care and addressing affordability.
New Brunswickers are struggling with the cost of living.
Green leader David Kuhn, meanwhile, argued voters should not choose the two traditional parties.
We need new leadership. A Green government would be different.
The NDP, People's Alliance, and Libertarians are the other three officially registered parties in this election. As of Friday afternoon, 574,000 New Brunswickers were eligible to vote. In some ridings, a quarter or more of them had already voted in advance polls. Polls close at 8 p.m., with results expected not long after that. Jacques Poitras, CBC News, Fredericton.
King Charles, on a state visit to Australia, was confronted today by an Indigenous politician.
You committed genocide against our people. Give us our land back. Give us what you stole from us.
That is Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe heckling Charles at a parliamentary reception. Thorpe was eventually escorted from Parliament House and later spoke to the media.
He's not my king. He's not sovereign. We are sovereign. To be sovereign, you have to be of the land. He's not of this land. We have been demanding a treaty for decades and decades.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is also on record saying Australia should become a republic. That is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 12:30.
Good afternoon and welcome to Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten, filling in for Janet Stewart. What a beautiful day out there. Sunny, almost summer-like. We're going for a high of 20 today. Coming up on Radio Noon, are you trying to quit smoking? The Manitoba Lung Association is throwing down a challenge. Quit in 30 days with their help and support. Have you ever tried to quit? How hard was it? We want to hear from you about everything to do with quitting smoking and helping each other achieve that goal. And coming up, we'll meet two new doctors recruited from the UK, now working in Killarney. Their subjects include weather, winter, and the cost of a good pair of warm boots. But first up, after 20 years of squabbling, Lac Bonny's local levels of government have decided on friendly cooperation, starting with the much-discussed water system. A long-disputed water project for Lac du Bonny is finally beginning to flow. The councils of the town of Lac du Bonny and the surrounding municipality are setting aside their differences to work together. The town overhauled its water treatment plant in 2004. It was meant to supply the whole region, but that never happened. The two councils hope to attract more economic opportunities to the area. And as CBC's Emily Brass discovered, they say it all starts with the water. She spoke with Councillor Cindy Kellendong, who explained how collaboration began.
Well, we've just completed a water study, and we're collaborating with the town of Lac du Bonny on a partnership to expand our water and sewer infrastructure, which is really exciting because that's going to open up a lot more doors for economic development and housing and other opportunities that for investors, and for our community residents. The other part of that too is we have been dealing with a number of boil water advisories for a number of years. So it's going to be an opportunity now to correct those problems and reduce healthcare concerns, especially given since the province is becoming more stringent about that. You know, when you've got outstanding boil water advisories, they want them corrected. So we're working collaboratively towards those goals.
And where is the water going to come from?
The town of Lac du Bonny already has their water plant, so the expansion is going to be off the existing infrastructure, the existing facility.
And how long has that facility been around?
25 years, roughly. It's been around for a while, and it's never been operating to full capacity. We've got lots of room for expansion, and this is just a terrific opportunity for both municipalities.
Is it good to have more water coming off of it?
Oh yeah, of course, because the facility has been underutilized for so many years, but I mean it's good on so many levels because it's going to, for those people who are under the boil water advisories where they've got their own co-ops, it's going to improve their quality of life with safe drinking water. And it's going to open up doors around the town and where the town and the RM border for more economic development. So of course you're going to generate revenue, it's going to create jobs, it's going to have a social impact in the community. It's a very, very positive thing for our region for us to be moving in this direction. And it's long overdue.
Yeah, why did it take so long?
Bottom line to that is community leaders drive these projects. And you need to have that cooperation between the municipalities to make things work to benefit the region. We've got a very strong relationship with the town. We've been working very hard to rebuild our relationships with the town and a lot of these joint projects because we all benefit. It's not just one municipality or the other. We need the town needs us. So we both benefit with everything that we take on and cost share or vision together to create a better community for the region.
I think I'd heard that there were things like harassment and lawsuits. Like how troublesome was it?
There were some harassment cases, and yes, there were some lawsuits. That's public knowledge. They have been resolved, and again, with this council, we're moving on and focusing on doing the right thing and doing what's right for the community. And we still need to do a lot more work to prevent those things from happening. But yes, when those things do happen, it creates a division within the community. It creates a level of distress or distrust rather, negative perceptions, that sort of thing. So it's very important that we as municipal representatives make sure that we, work towards these common goals and not let all this other noise affect our performances because it affects everybody else in the municipality.
And now one of the common goals is that water development. Can you elaborate on what kind of opportunities that's going to open up?
Oh my God, I get so excited when I think about it. It could open up housing development, which we are in desperate need of. So if there's any, we're open for business. We want to attract developers. We are working towards becoming investment ready for any interested investor, whether it be a small manufacturing or a small business, developers, motel, restaurants, that sort of thing. So it will enable us to provide the infrastructure that they need in order to come and invest in our community. And that's huge. That's huge because we've had a significant growth over the last number of years. And a lot of people come out here because of the tourism opportunities. I mean, tourism is a wonderful thing. It really adds to your local economy, but we're much more than that. We're a very diverse community. We've got a lot of different industry. We've got, healthcare. We've got mining and resources. We've got aviation. It's just incredible the opportunities that we have out here for people who want to come and invest. And I was born and bred in Winnipeg, and Lac du Bonnet has always felt like home. And to have the opportunity to move out here, live out here full time, has been just the best experience. I mean, where else can you go to work and go home and after work and go for a swim or go fishing or go snowmobiling? And still we're only an hour away, a little over an hour away from the city. So I feel we have the best of both worlds.
Cindy Killendonk is a counselor with the RM of Lac du Bonny. She was speaking with CBC's Emily Brass. And for more on this story, go to our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba.
Your local news at your fingertips.
CBC News has a local news app made for your phone or tablet.
So don't waste time scrolling for the local stories you want. Just download the app to get the information that matters to you, when it happens,
and how you want it.
Another way to get your local news. The CBC News app. Download it today.
You're listening to CBC Radio Noon, 89.3 FM, 990 AM. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten, filling in for Janet Stewart. Well, on our call-in today, we want to hear your stories about smoking and how to quit that habit. We'll have experts from the Manitoba Lung Association join us to talk about a 30-day challenge and how it can help you quit the habit for good in time for the holidays. I mean, so many people have quit smoking over the years, and some people are still struggling to do so. And I've often heard that, the more you try, the more likely you are to quit. But we'll get some tips from the experts. And also coming up, 2 new doctors recruited from the UK to the town of Killarney share how the folks in their town have welcomed them and how they hope their work will help the community. Taking a look at the forecast today. Oh, it's a nice one in the Winnipeg area anyway. A little bit of summer lingering. Highs of 20 today, mainly sunny. Right now it's about 14 in Winnipeg. Tonight, rain, partly cloudy. No, Tuesday is rain. Partly cloudy tonight, down to 10. On Tuesday, rain, amounts of 5 millimeters. And the temperature is dropping to 3 in the afternoon tomorrow. And some temperatures for you around the province. In Brandon, it's 9. Churchill is 1. Dauphin, 8. Gimli, 10. The Paw, 6. In Thompson, it's -1. And in Winnipeg, it's summery, 14 degrees. It is 16 minutes after 12 o'clock. You're listening to Radio Noon. It took more than a year, but now 2 doctors recruited from the United Kingdom are calling Killarney home. Their move here comes at a time when the province has the second lowest number of physicians per capita in Canada. That's according to Doctors Manitoba. Dr. Jim Heptonstall and Dr. Dominic Hennessy signed with the Winnipeg-based recruiter Waterford Global to seal the deal. The town of Killarney hired the recruiter to find the doctors, but the search is over. CBC's Chloe Friesen spoke to them on Friday.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi. So, Jim, I'm going to start with you. I understand you've already started working at the Tri-Lake Health Centre. And Dominic, you officially start Monday. Jim, how's it been so far?
Chloe, it's been really great. The town has been so welcoming. I started working here about 6 weeks ago now. And already I've been seeing lots of patients in Killarney.
Okay. And Dominic, you officially start on Monday. How do you feel about starting your career in Killarney?
Yeah, very positive. I think you might be aware I did a week of locum work back in early August, and I think that was helpful to kind of orientate myself to a new system. I did have an eventful on-call. I needed to call stars my first day, which is always a great thing. But yeah, so that I shouldn't have quite such a difficulty starting on Mondays. Perhaps I might not have without that sort of experience, but very excited. I've been doing some training with STARS, and also I just completed my paediatric advanced life support again this week. So I have been here and integrating a bit into the community's life for a few weeks now. But it's been nice to have a bit of a break as well after the move.
Now, Jim, can you tell me about your first visit to Killarney? What were your first impressions?
So after Waterford Global contacted me last year, about June, we arranged for a visit to the town in October. So we had a visit where we got to meet the mayor and the people on the council here, and we got to visit the local area and visit the geography here, which was great. And everybody was so welcoming, and there was a real clear need to me that there was a need for more doctors here, which is one of the things that played into my decision to move here with my family.
So you brought the whole family over. How are they enjoying Killarney so far?
Well, I'm married and I've got 5 kids.
And they're all in the local school here, and they're settling in well, thanks. Everyone's been very welcoming to them.
Oh, that's good to know. Now, Dominic, what about you? What were your first impressions of good old Killarney, Manitoba?
So similar to Jim, really. I visited in September and was immediately made to feel very, very welcome by everybody in the town. And I think that had a huge influence on my decision to migrate. I got to say, I did come on that site visit not having expectations of whether I was going to be emigrating or not. It was very clear that this was a speculative visit. But I think, looking at how beautiful the area is and looking at all that the community might have to offer, and more importantly for me, I think the community really making it clear that people embrace the difficult winters here and enjoy them. That was something that's relief to hear. I'm not looking forward to my first winter here. I have spent a small fortune on a pair of winter boots, but
they're important. Can I ask where you're both originally from in the UK? I'm curious about how it might compare to the weather here.
Okay, so Yorkshire, which is where I'm from, it does get snow because there are sort of hills in the middle of the United Kingdom, in the middle of England. And we're kind of on the side that gets most of the snow. Lancashire's on the other side. So we would generally have snow most winters, but I would think even in Yorkshire, you don't get that many days that are below zero, and certainly not for a very, very long time. Where I currently live on the south coast of England, it's a rarity that you get any temperatures below zero. I remember there's one year that we had some snow on the beach, and actually seeing the snow like hitting the sea was quite a magical experience for me. I think I might get rather bored of snow very quickly here, but that's fine.
You're going to see snow hitting the lake in Killarney.
And how about you, Jim?
Yeah, so similarly, England's a very kind of moderate, temperate country, really, compared to Canada. And because, nowhere's too far from the sea, the temperatures don't change quite so much as they do in inland Canada.
Mm-hmm. So when you're looking around Killarney, when you're settling in, what has stood out to you most about the people and the conversations that you've had with folks, patients or just people just around town?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that just how thankful and welcoming everybody is. People will stop me on the street and say, ask me if I'm the new doctor and welcome me to the town. My new patients are often coming in just to say hello, to get to know me. I guess also deciding whether they want to register with me or not. And that's been my kind of primary experience.
And I would echo that, Chloe. I think that, coming to a place where, as a healthcare professional, you feel very genuinely welcomed and recognised for the skilled work that you do, that is something that is somewhat refreshing, coming from quite a beleaguered NHS. And I think that the healthcare need in the Western world is the same. I think everywhere is under-doctored, but I do feel that here the public feel to be much more welcoming to you as a doctor that's prepared to uproot and migrate halfway across the world. And that was something I did very much notice and feel when I first visited Killarney, and continue to do so.
Have you gotten any good suggestions on how to pass any free time or how to spend the winter here?
Well, I'm keen to try snowmobiling. And apparently ice fishing is quite a lot of fun. I'm not so fussed about the fishing, but sitting in a hut with a log burner and looking at nice scenery, I think I could do that.
Sounds excellent. Yeah, what about you?
What I'm really keen to do is make sure that the kids get to experience everything that Canada and North America have got to offer. And so I'm looking forward to spending time with them.
And Killarney is in a nice little spot where you can drive to a lot of other small towns and cities and kind of explore from there. So I'm excited for you two to enjoy and explore Manitoba.
Yeah, I already had a week actually where a friend that helped me to move my two dogs over. We had a drive around northern Manitoba. We didn't quite get up to Churchill, which is still on the to-do list. But,
that's a bit of a drive. It's yeah.
There, we put on about 4,200 kilometres inside of a week. We drove all the way up to Paint Lake, and yeah, it was a good trip. But because it was such lovely weather that week, and we saw so much of the province, it made it feel like it was definitely the right decision to move here. So I was very grateful for that opportunity.
Lastly, I'll give you both a chance to send a message to the people of Killarney. What would you like to say to them?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say thank you to the municipality for all the hard work they've put in, including engaging with Waterford Global and the good work they've done in getting both Dom and I here. and supporting us in that transition. And thank you so much to the town of Killarney for welcoming us. And I really hope that Dom and I can be of good service to everyone, and that they experience really high quality medical care from the both of us.
Yeah, and I think I would say the same. I think the community's been so welcoming, so kind, so generous with their time and making sure that we feel well looked after. I think I'm really looking forward to returning their investment, essentially, and making sure that whatever work I do offer is the highest standard that I can. And thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Dr. Dominic Hennessy and Dr. Jim Heptonstall have been recruited by the town of Killarney from the UK, and they're both now working in Killarney's Tri-Lake Health Centre. They were speaking with the CBC's Chloe Friesen.
Would you answer a call for a reality TV show if you weren't allowed to ask what the show was about?
If you want to be on the show, stop asking that question and get on with the auditions.
I might be selling you my kidney. I don't know what it is.
But in return, they promised you the adventure of a lifetime.
No, I was thinking. I didn't want to die.
Split Screen Thrill Seekers is a new 6-part series from Love and Radio, Vespucci, and CBC.
Split Screen Thrill Seekers. Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to CBC Radio Noon. It is 25 minutes after 12 o'clock. It's about that time of year where we pack up our bicycles and bathing suits to make room for sweaters, sleds, and slow cookers. But where should you store all that warm winter stuff? Caitlin Beekhouse is the owner of Sort and Simple Professional Organizers in Edmonton. She shares her tips on how to better sort and store all those things.
I think the biggest mistake that could happen is to not take that opportunity to declutter and do a reset. So, we've had the summertime, we've been doing those kind of summer sports, and then pulling out our winter things and just piling it all on top. This is a great opportunity to take stock of what we actually used this summer and let go of the things that we're no longer needing. The more we are clear on the vision we have, do we want to be able to park our car in the garage for winter? Do we want our kids to be able to dress themselves to go outside easily? Being mindful of how we want our space to function is going to help us decide how much we're going to keep in that space. Because the less we have to manage, the easier it's going to be to access the things we really want. And then once we've decluttered, then we can look at setting up storage systems for what's left. If you're thinking about organizing or making some changes in your home, most likely there's some kind of pain point that's hit and you know that you want to fix it. So whether it's, I can't get my kids out the door fast enough to get to school, or every time I want to play hockey, I can't find my skates. There's usually some kind of pay point and motivator. It just takes someone asking the right questions to get that out. So when it comes, especially for the seasonal stuff, you've done that decluttering, you have what you want to keep. Now it's setting up a system to make the things that we're going to be using more accessible. So, for example, using the garage and sporting equipment, maybe you are able to create storage up high or some totes that you can put out of the way for the next 6 months and rotate those through the seasons so that you can more easily reach them. If you're not ready to do a seasonal rotation where you're moving things like to the basement or way out to the shed or something like that, maybe we need to have fewer things. So being more intentional again, maybe thinking too about, is there things in our home that we can borrow? Like those badminton rackets, you could go to the Y and use theirs. Is there other ways to source these items versus storing them? Kids come with a lot of stuff, and this is a common pain point we hear, especially as kids develop so quickly and what they need and to use changes. So one of the things that we love when it's organizing systems for kids is make your systems operate at their level. So, lots of parents want things really perfect or tucked away and hidden. Instead of, putting mittens in a bin with a lid, use an open tote. Or put it out maybe at the front door, and just when company comes, put it in the closet. Make it really accessible and easy for them to use.
Caitlin Beekhouse is the owner of Sort and Simple Professional Organizers in Edmonton.
Hey, mama, ain't like it used to be. None too kind, nothing like you to see. Traded on up just to shoot that yellow dog. All these years just to figure out what it means.
Just a little bit from the Prairie Joggers. And after the 12:30 news, we're taking a smoke break, as in break the habit of smoking. And we want your calls. Let me know how you did it, or how you're trying to do it, or how you want to do it. There's a 30-day challenge from the association that can help you do that. The news is next.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Rosanna Hempel. At 12:30, it's 16 in Winnipeg. Mostly sunny today, a high of 20. MPI wants drivers to pay more for auto insurance, but a watchdog is questioning why that proposed rate hike is so low. The CBC's Ian Fraze explains.
Manitoba Public Insurance wants a 3% rate hike for next year. While the corporation is making its case to an independent board, the Consumers Association of Manitoba, which represents ratepayers, is raising questions. Not that the rate is too high, but rather it might be too low. MPI's own actuaries think a 6% rate hike, not 3%, is needed to recover costs. The Crown Corporation lost $130 million last year, in part because of a hailstorm that led to 15,000 claims. The Consumers Group says it's concerned about affordability, but not at the risk of the public being hit with much higher rate increases in the future. The Public Utilities Board will have the final say on rate changes. The hearing starts today and is expected to last 3 weeks. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg police are investigating the death of a man from Peguis First Nation as a homicide. Police were called about an unresponsive man in the 800 block of College Avenue Friday afternoon around 5:30. He was pronounced dead in hospital. The victim has been identified as 33-year-old Sean Douglas Thomas. A 13-year-old boy from Nisitchawayasik Cree Nation suffered life-threatening injuries after he was shot through the walls of his house. Nelson House RCMP say someone shot at a house on Linklater Road early Saturday morning. They say the bullets passed into the boy's bedroom where he was in bed. 5 other people, including 3 other youth, were in the house at the time. No one else was hurt. The teen was taken to Winnipeg, where he is now in stable condition. RCMP believe the home was targeted. And a 36-year-old man has been charged with numerous counts of assaulting police after threatening officers with a knife. Police were called to a home in the 1100 block of Alfred Street after 9 yesterday morning. It was about a report of a man who'd broken into a house and caused substantial damage. Police say when officers confronted him, he didn't drop his knife. He was arrested after being tasered, but wasn't seriously hurt. Investigators found the same man had broken into the same house the day before after a domestic incident. That is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 1:30.
Thank you very much, Rosanna.
You're welcome.
Let's take a look at the forecast in Winnipeg today. Mainly sunny, highs of 20 degrees. Down to 10 degrees tonight and partly cloudy. And then tomorrow in the Winnipeg area, it's going to rain a bit with the winds becoming northwest at 30 and the temperature will fall in the afternoon. In Brandon and Dauphin today, mainly sunny, highs of 22, even balmier than it is here, and partly cloudy tonight down to 6. And in the Brandon and Dauphin region tomorrow, periods of rain. Also that northwest wind and the dropping temperature to +5. Taking a look in the Thompson region, snow today, about 5 centimeters. It must be getting towards winter if it's snowing in Thompson. Highs of -1, and tonight more snow. A little bit windy, up to 15 kilometers an hour, and lows of -6. And on Tuesday in the Thompson region, still a good chance of flurries in the morning, then a mix of sun and clouds, and a high of -2. In Churchill, increasing cloudiness this afternoon, but they're not saying snow. Winds up to 15 kilometers an hour, highs of -1, -9 tonight, and on Tuesday, cloudy and a mix of sun and snow in the afternoon, and highs of -2. A couple of temperatures for you. In Brandon at this hour, it is 10. Churchill is -1. Dauphin is 9. Gimli is 11. The Paw is 7. Thompson -1. And in Winnipeg, it is 16 degrees, and we're heading for a high of 20. There, that's the weather. Got it all out there for you. It is 25 minutes before 1 o'clock. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten. You're listening to Radio Noon. So how hard is it to stop smoking or to quit vaping or quit nicotine patches? The Manitoba Lung Association is putting out a challenge. They say now's the right time to quit with a free 30-day program designed to help you achieve a smoke-free life. But it's common knowledge that quitting smoking is not easy. Have you ever tried to quit? And how hard was that? What helped you give up smoking for good? I want you to call and share your stories. I know there's some good ones out there. Give me a call at 204-780-0893. Or you can text us at 204-588-7355 and tell us about smoking. And have you noticed people smoking more, smoking less? Do you still have a hard time staying quitted, even though it's been a long time? I've heard lots of people say for years and years they're still on the alert that they could, draw back any day. But there are lots of new improved ways to stop smoking. And we have a pair of experts with us. Haley Coleman is a certified tobacco educator with the Manitoba Lung Association. And I think we also have, just a minute, I've lost my page here, and Juliet, also from the Manitoba Lung Association. Hello.
Hi, Laurie. How are you?
Good. How are you two?
Doing very well, thank you.
So I'm talking with Juliet Mucha and Haley Coleman from Manitoba Lung Association. So let me start with you, Juliet. Can you describe the demographic now that is addicted to smoking in Manitoba? Who is it? Who's smoking?
Well, we have a wide variety of people smoking, and that's where Manitoba Lung comes in. Manitoba Lung, we're here to obviously help advocate, provide research, funding for research, provide patient programs to make sure that all Manitobans can breathe with ease. And that is what we need to do to make sure that everyone can make an informed decision before they grab a smoke, light up, grab a vape, whatever that would mean to them. And everybody does it for their own variety of reasons. But smoking is still the leading cause of lung cancer around the world and in Canada and in Manitoba. So that's where we thank you for letting us share this information today.
And Haley, what would you say the demographic is like compared to 50 years ago? Like who's smoking now and who's smoking then, and how has that changed?
The demographic is quite similar. We range from mid-30s all the way up with long-term smokers. But what we're noticing now is the younger generation are vaping versus smoking. We're noticing like in high schools around Manitoba, there's very little smokers. Majority are vapors. So it's a huge variety in terms of who we serve and who we support in this province.
Well, if you are an ex-smoker or someone trying to quit smoking or vaping or nicotine patches, do give us a call, 204-780-0893, and tell us your story and how you managed to quit or how you're struggling to quit. It's an ongoing conversation. So you were saying it's more vaping with young people. It used to be either you smoked or you didn't. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So how many young people, what percentage of young people are vaping?
Our last stats are quite old, but we're actually, so I'm not going to say some stats today because they're quite dated, but we are noticing when we reach out to different schools across the province that, and also a lot of community, is that a lot of youth grades 5 and up are starting to try vaping because of a lack of education within the schools and within the communities. And that's why we developed the Lungs Are for Life program. It is prevention as well as a cessation program for youth across the province. So we're just really trying to push out the education so that youth can make that decision before they try.
Right. Well, we got a call just before the show from someone who recently quit vaping. Here's what he had to say.
Hello, my name is Matthew Shorty, and just recently quit 30 days from vaping, which is considered electronic cigarettes. And the reason for doing so was I went to apply for insurance, and it was $10 extra just because I smoked electronic cigarettes. So I was like, I'm gonna save my $10 a month, and also there was motivation, as my child was saying, you're gonna die in the long run, and also it wasn't really relieving stress and affecting my cardio in the gym. So I quit 30 days ago, going strong, proud.
Oh, way to go, Matthew. And Matthew shared some of the things that motivated him to quit. Now, I don't know who would best want to answer this one, but what are the most powerful motivators that help people quit smoking and stay quit?
I can answer that. So working with a lot of Manitobans on their quit journey, a lot of it is health related. That's usually the biggest one. And health related meaning family members are peer pressuring them because they're worried, or they're getting a lot of scary symptoms that they never used to have. So health can be a big one. The next biggest thing is financial.
Oh, right. Yes, because it's very expensive to smoke or vape. Yeah. Juliet, I wanted to ask you, when we were just talking about peer pressure there, it seems to me peer pressure must be greater now. I remember when I quit smoking, back when the mountains were cooling, as they say. I mean, people smoked madly everywhere, but there were still a few places you couldn't smoke. Well, maybe one or two. But now it's very hard to find somewhere where you're allowed to smoke. So does that mean that people who are smoking now are more hardcore or more dedicated to it, or by limiting locations to smoke, does that help too, to help people to quit?
Well, thanks to programs from Manitoba and a lot of other agencies, education has gone out how smoking is the leading cause of cancer, like I was saying earlier. So people are making informed decisions not to light up. We've gotten the education as well. Back in the day, I remember when I was in school, education about not smoking and what it did to your lungs. So what we are now working on with Manitoba, as Haley just alluded to, is now it's to provide that education in schools for vaping and making that, and we're working with government, so hopefully that can become part of the education curriculum. But right now, schools can download our program for free of Lungs Are for Life to make an informed decision. We have seen that smoking has dropped dramatically because vaping came into play as a smoking cessation program. But unfortunately, our regulations haven't kept up with the demand and the changes in the vaping industry. And that is what we're seeing now.
Give us a call if you can contribute to this conversation about quitting smoking, how you did it, or what you think needs to change in terms of the legislation, as Juliet was just talking about, how the regulatory bodies have maybe not kept step with vaping. What are you seeing with young people, maybe your own kids, or yourself when it comes to stopping smoking? So tell me, is quitting vaping harder or easier than stopping cigarettes, do you suppose? What's it like in terms of nicotine content and so on, or are they exactly comparable?
So nicotine is nicotine. A lot of people don't realize that if you were to compare nicotine and how it affects our brain, especially with underdeveloped brains up until usually 25 years old, it's right up there with a heroin addiction. And a lot of people don't realize that. And so nicotine, whether you are vaping, whether you're chewing, whether you are smoking, it is very, very hard to quit.
Yeah.
We are seeing long-term heavy vapors or smokers having up until 30 attempts at quitting. So, we can't really... An addiction is an addiction, is how I like to present that, whether you are vaping or smoking. And so I like to tell all of my clients, give yourself some grace. Try to give yourself the support you need, whether that's through peer support or individual support, and really, really try to allow yourself to change your mindset around the addiction. Like, oh, it's just smoking, but it's hard. And once you realize that it's up there as heroin addiction and how it affects your brain, I think it really puts it into perspective for family members or teachers, realizing how hard it is to cut these cravings, whether you're in class or at work. it's challenging.
Well, there's also the challenges of the physical addiction and the kind of psychological addiction as well. So, what are some techniques that help people break both those things?
I love cognitive behavioral therapy. In layman's terms, it's mindset work. And I really, really love breath work. So we do have nicotine replacement therapy, which most people are used to. That's the gum, the lozenges, or the patches. But what I have been dabbling in with my clients over the past year or two is breath work and mindset work. And when it comes to a craving, I always tell my clients, give it 5 minutes. Pause what you're doing. Maybe you can take your mind off of it. Some people like to draw. Some people like to listen to a song and sing it. Some people like to do breath work. I love alternative nasal breathing. So if anyone wants to look that up on YouTube, it's called alternative nasal breathing. Alternative nasal breathing pulls you out of a craving within 2 to 3 minutes. And it is actually more powerful, I've noticed, with people who are also on the patch, because the cravings still kind of come as you're learning to use the patch. So breath work has been my number one. And I've had clients say that due to breath work, they've actually been able to stay smoke-free because it's a tool you can use anywhere. Because the annoying thing about cravings is they just come up whenever they want, right? So you can be in the shower, you can be in the car, you can be in the middle of a teaching lesson, whatever you may be, right? Or a radio host, whatever. And a craving just takes over your mind and body. But you can pause and do that breath work or play with a wristband, or we have so many cool techniques now that you can do. And you don't need to do it cold turkey. So
Right. Well, and also, what about avoiding situations that you associate with smoking?
Yes. So when you're really wanting to quit smoking or vaping, environment is key. Think of yourself as an addict. So if you are addicted to alcohol, you might not want to go into a bar, right? So same with smoking. Wherever you go, maybe you smoke in your car, that's your thing. So get it detailed, because the smell of smoke triggers you. Maybe you go on your front porch and you have your ashtray there. Clean up your front porch. Any sort of reminder or smell, or you have a jacket that you smoke in, wash that jacket, get rid of the environment, get rid of the smell when you're really wanting to take that seriously, and tell your friends and family, hey, I'm a social smoker, so I'm just going to stay away for about a month or so until I get the hang of this quit journey, right?
And what about places like Australia, for example, are planning on doing some what might even be called draconian measures and having a completely smoke-free continent in a few years. And you were saying, Juliet, that the important part is not to start. So what do you think of that program in Australia?
Well, power to them. We'll see, obviously, they will hopefully see the grapevine effects in their healthcare system, with not seeing lung cancer being the number one killer following smoking.
Yeah.
We've been actually watching this even here in Canada. We've seen New Brunswick, who have changed their vaping laws, where they've tightened up on the legislation provincially. We would love to mimic that here in Manitoba and look forward to having those conversations, because those are important key things to have, such as, well, we've been talking about it for the past few days with, as you've been sharing with the tobacco lawsuit settlement that has been announced as well. And the unfortunate that there's no cost recovery fee that is included in their payout plan. So we're hoping that we can work with our coalition groups and present that we need a cost recovery fee in Manitoba, because obviously these payouts are for damages already happened. And we want to make sure that we're watching out for all Manitobans from here into the future as well.
Yeah. And if you would like to contribute to this conversation, do give us a call at 204-780-0893. We're talking about quitting smoking or vaping or nicotine patches, and just the difficulties that are out there, and also the help that is out there. Now, there's a 30-day challenge put up by the Manitoba Lung Association, so that people can wrap up the whole smoking thing by the holidays. How does that work?
Thank you for asking. I'm very excited to share this. So it's called Manitoba Quits. It's been active for 5+ years. We've had over 3,000 participants so far. It pairs up with a peer support group on Facebook with over 800 active, very supportive participants who are also on their quit journey or have already quit and just want to continue to be that support. We challenge people to either be smoke-free or start weaning off in the 30-day challenge. What they receive is they can either join the Facebook group, and we have tips and tricks and motivations every day on posts, but we're also starting to have the, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, my video went weird. If you can, joys of technology, hey?
Yeah.
But we also are going to be mimicking our Facebook group posts on emails. So you can opt in to receive emails and get emails every day. It's just a couple sentences just to keep you with that tips or tricks for that day for 30 days. But then after 30 days, we are also going to put in a monthly email on how to continue to stay smoke-free. So you can opt into that. So it just depends on if you want to be really active in your quit journey. I suggest the Facebook group route, or if you want to just kind of do it on your own with your family and friends, I suggest the email route. We have prizes. You can opt in for a quit kit, and just support there. I run the Facebook group, so I also we have our email info@mb.lung.ca if anyone needs extra support or they're just struggling. So anyone who's thinking of just weaning off vaping, chew, smoking, join it. You can get all the support you need, and I'm here to help. So.
Well, then it's a good idea. The timing is good, I was thinking, before the holidays, because quite often as a New Year's resolution or something, people will want to stop smoking. And this way, it gives you kind of a head start. But I also wanted to get back, before I let you guys go, talking about all the teenagers that are vaping now. When you ask them, I know you said you don't have like super current information on it, but what's the motivation? Why do they take it up?
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Lack of education. They unfortunately have been marketed to youth with all the lovely flavors.
Mm-hmm.
They're little gadgets that youth are used to. It's unfortunate that we are kind of, how do I say this? We are now reacting to something that was put into place, right? So we never had the education in place when vaping came out.
Mm-hmm.
So we scrambled to put it together with the lack of research, and now slowly we're getting that research in. And but our biggest thing right now is just really trying to help grades 5 to 9 with that education piece. We have the Lungs Are for Life program. It's free download from our website, mb.lung.ca. It's for teachers ready to go in their classrooms, 15-minute lessons. I can go on and on about this. But grades 10 to 12, it's more the cessation piece. Okay, you're already vaping. How can I help you? And teaching the teachers in the schools to really help these youth get over their vaping addiction with the education as well.
Well, when it became so clear quite quickly that tobacco was terrible for everybody, smoking was terrible for everybody, why is the research so slow on getting the vaping information out there? Because as you say, we're sort of playing catch up all the way along. Are you meeting resistance? Is it because it's so profitable that corporations are stalling this or something?
The biggest thing is that smoking's been around for so many years that we've had decades to research, right? Like vaping's only been around for a short period of time. And as soon as it came out, nobody knew what was going to happen to our bodies. We're all guinea pigs, and that's scary. And so now everyone that is capable is doing the research to really see the long-term effects of vaping. But because it's so new, it's hard to get those long-term effects. But we've been doing some amazing things. I'm going to hand this over to Juliet because there's an amazing human called Chris Pascoe who's been doing some stuff. So I'll hand it over to Juliet to finish off this awesome
Juliet,
piece.
Yeah, tell us about
Yes.
that.
Well, there are the longitude studies for the research projects are in progress now, but some of the short term, such as only a few years ago, they actually determined that in high schools, over 74% of students in Manitoba have tried vaping, have tried it at least once. And as Ailey has already indicated, it's a highly addictive form of nicotine. And here it's supposed to be actually a smoking cessation program that is actually done quite the reverse. So that is why our programs such as the Lungs Are for Life and the Manitoba Quits, it's important. We provide it free of charge, so there is no barrier or restriction on financial. It is actually can be done, as she alluded to, virtually. So it is available to all Manitobans to take advantage of. And even for those who don't want to or don't know what to include or don't know what to expect, check it out anyways. Give it a shot. See what the language, see what people are saying. People are so supportive in this group.
Well, I want to thank you both for bringing some quite new information to us and pointing out the scope of help that's out there, learning about the breathing techniques and the mindfulness part of it is very important. And also how you've spoken very plainly about it's an addiction. Like I think sometimes people think, well, it's just smoking. It's not like being addicted. Oh, no, it is like being addicted. And then, of course, you're also up against the challenge of talking to young people who are, of course, immortal, as we all know, and invincible and risk takers. So you've got a lot of work in front of you, and you've already done a lot. I want to thank you both very much for being with us.
Well, thank you for helping us share this message.
Bye-bye. That's Haley Coleman. She is a certified tobacco educator with Manitoba Lung Association. And Juliet Muka is the association's president and CEO.
Sometimes if you want someone to do, you need to say don't. Like when you're selling squishy softness.
Charmin's so squeezably soft, it's irresistible. Please don't squeeze the Charmin.
Or promoting pickpocket protection.
If they're lost or stolen, you can get them back. Don't leave home without them.
Don't Do It Advertising, Part 2, on Under the Influence with Terry O'Reilly. Thursday morning at 11:30, 3:30 p.m. in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app.
You are listening to Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten, filling in for Janet Stewart. We were just talking about quitting smoking and programs to keep doing that. And it seems that vaping has overtaken actually smoking cigarettes. And of course, the concern is with our young people. It was a very interesting discussion. And now for a short, but I'm sure interesting discussion, I welcome Faith Fundal into the studio, host of Up to Speed. Hello.
Laurie, unfair and carries significant future risk. That is how the Consumers Association of Canada describes MPI's rate increase application. We're going to hear why it's calling on the provincial insurer to charge more now rather than less. Oh. So that conversation coming up on the show in our 5 o'clock half hour. Stay tuned for that.
Money. People will want to hear about that. That's always a concern. Well, thanks very much, Faith.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Faith Fundal, host of Up to Speed, and you can hear them this afternoon from 3 to 6 on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM, 990 AM. Well, just got time to say farewell and thank you to our technical director, Marshall Hodgins, and Wendy Parker, who is the director, and the YouTube live stream director person, Kevin Nipatebo. Hello to all those people on the other side of the glass. Very nice being with you. I'll be with you most of the week. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Coming up on CBC Radio 1 right now, you can listen to the next chapter. Beautiful day out there. Go outside. Don't do anything like rake leaves or anything. Just walk around and sniff the clean autumn air. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.